Welcome to Season 4 of the Builders Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Levenhagen. This season, we're exploring the human behind the builders, the stories, experiences, and defining moments that shape the people who build great businesses. Builders helping builders. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined again by Amy Foley. Welcome back to the show, Amy.
Hi, thanks for having me, Matt.
Well, Amy, it's actually been a bunch of years. I was looking back at your episode. It was episode 136. We're probably this episode is going to be in the 280s somewhere, and so I think that was back in like 1993. Yeah, 2023.
I wouldn't have had much to say back then.
Yeah, so that it's been a few years, and but I thought I would have you back as we connected and said, what have you been up to? And you had a bunch of things that you've been up to. A lot's been changing. A lot's changed since 23, and that's what we're going to kind of get into today. Before we do that, why don't you give us kind of like if somebody wants to learn about your story, like the whole story, like your origin story, they can go back to 136 because that's still the same. It's just there's been a few years since then, which we'll fill in hopefully here. But just a little bit about what you do. Like what is your business? What do you do when you wake up in the morning?
Yeah, so I am the founder and CEO of Inbound Back Office. So it's back office support for marketing agencies and fractional CMOs. And I have moved out of the day-to-day, and I really just do the high level, the marketing, managing the team, the sales, and that sort of thing. I have 15 part-time employees who do all of the work. That number has changed over the years, but that's where we are today. And yeah, so I'm just hanging out with my team and helping them have whatever they need so that they can serve our clients well.
Your clients, and you got established business. When did you guys get started?
Well, technically, if we're gonna get technical, it was around 2013. That is when I took on my very first. It started as like a freelance type of thing. I was just kind of testing out the waters to see like what it would be like to be a virtual assistant. And that's when I met the person who then became my business partner. So that's when I first started working with clients, and it just evolved from there. And it got really big over a couple of years, and then we shrunk back down.
Yes, I know that feeling.
Yes.
It's had kind of a similar experience in recent years, but it's that's amazing. At 2013, that doesn't sound so long ago, but a lot's happened and on the internet and what we do and marketing wise and social media wise. It's a different world than it was
It really
13
is.
years ago.
Yes. Yes. It's crazy that it was that long ago. Like every time I think about it, I'm like, is that the right year? But it actually is. Because it's funny because that you say like how things have changed. The way that I was getting business back then and getting clients was on Twitter, which I've been on Twitter and forever. And I set up like I think I used TweetDeck back then, and I set up a search for people who were looking for recommendations for virtual assistants. And I would just go through that a couple times a day and just like respond to people who were like, hey, does anybody have a recommendation for a virtual assistant? And I was just like, well, let me just, respond and say, I'm a virtual assistant. Would you like to chat? Like really
Nice.
basic. And
Yeah.
it worked. It worked pretty well, actually. And then I got 3 clients within like a week. And then I was like, well,
Amazing.
now I have to figure out what I'm going to do.
Yeah. What's this now? I have a business.
Exactly. It's definitely, yes, I was definitely flying the plane while I was building it. And nobody seemed to care. I mean, I was just really upfront about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm brand new. If you aren't comfortable taking a chance on me, totally get it. But I found 3 people who were, and they were amazing clients, very long-term clients. And the very first one was a marketing agency owner, and he taught me all the ins and outs of agency life and marketing and had me learn all the aspects of what they deliver to their clients. And he kept referring me to all of his agency friends, and I got really busy. And so at that
Wow.
point, I was like, I don't even need to do any marketing. So I stopped doing all marketing. And then I got so busy that I needed to hire help. So he was like, my sister-in-law needs some work. And so I brought her on to help. And she was amazing. And she was with me. She just left last year. So like
Mm.
she has been with me since the beginning. Yeah, and then it just snowballed, and then, clients would ask for things that I don't do, and nobody would want me to do, like, graphic design, and so I was like, just asking people, like, "Do you know anybody who does graphic design and wants to, get some extra work?" And, like, that's where I found all of my team members in the beginning, and if that happened right away, and she is actually still on the team. So like we still have a lot of the same people who were originally my little helpers. And
Mhm.
the way I would pay them is I would like keep track of all of their hours and their pay on a spreadsheet. Pay them through PayPal. Like it was very
Low tech. Yeah. Yeah,
yes, he was
that's
very low tech, but hey, it worked. And after a certain point, then Michael said, "Hey, this would be a great like this is a real need in the industry." And so, I know the agency world and I have the contacts, and you obviously are good at the work and the operations part of it. So, if we joined forces, like this could be really great.
oh, nice.
And so at the time, like it was a really good thing for me at the time, yes.
Mhm.
I think one of the things was, like, I wanted to try to build it myself, but I was not very confident, so I was like, "Well, he's been in business for a while, so he probably knows a lot of these things, so I could probably learn a lot from him." So we joined together and built it, and it grew really fast, really big, and, we were up to 78 team members at
Wow.
biggest.
Wow.
Yes.
And
Yes.
who was managing all that? Did you have somebody managing all the team? Like, you obviously had help from
It
a
was
management
me. It
perspective.
was me for,
Mostly you?
a good long while. So Michael did, a lot of he did, like, a lot of the, like, outreach and, you know, just making prospecting
Sales and
essentially.
marketing. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and then, like, I would do the sales calls, and I would manage all of the team essentially, and he did, like, the finance side and things like that, but, and then he kind of implemented, like, a lot of like, he we kind of incubated it within his agency for a little while, so we were, like, on their tools and in their
Mm.
payroll system and that kind of thing, and then in 2018, we kind of broke out on our own, and we were, like, a big kid company then, and
Mhm.
we had all of our own tools and our own payroll and all of that, and, then
So
we just
you had you were in his or using his agency stuff or kind of baked
yes,
into that, and then you kinda spun it
exactly.
off into its own thing. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, which was actually quite perfect, because, we didn't really know what it was gonna look like, if it was gonna do
Mhm.
anything, and so we didn't really wanna, like, put a ton of money into it until we were really sure, and then we were like, "Yeah, I think we're sure." And, then we got to a point where we had 2 people on the team who had been there forever, who we moved into, like, a sales role and a client relationship role, and then the other person was more of, like, an operations, and so they kind of started taking over those
Okay.
types of things once we got really big.
Yeah. Because you
And
can't do it all yourself forever. You gotta
yeah,
there's a certain
yeah,
scale you get to.
yeah, exactly. The only problem is that so all of the people outside of Michael and myself, they are all like part-time hourly people. And so they're tracking their time while they're working for with the clients. And that's the way we charge our clients an hourly rate. So it was very easy to know that if someone was working, we were going to be, you know, getting money in return. And because of that, like we didn't have super large margins. I mean, we had comfortable margins, but when we brought people in to work on the operations and like the client side, that really wasn't an hourly kind of position. So we made them salary. We were like, let's test this out. And it worked for a while we were like really, really in our heyday. But then once I feel like a couple years after COVID, so during COVID, we had it was amazing for us. Like, I sometimes feel bad saying that because obviously it was not a
It
great
wasn't a good
time.
time. Yeah. Right.
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 But for us, it was really good. But then it started to die down and like, the marketing industry has been changing. A lot of our
Hmm.
clients were being acquired by bigger companies who didn't need services like us. And a lot of people were just closing down their agency altogether. A lot of them were going,
Why was it? Just because of the
I I
what was changing besides COVID?
I
Maybe.
mean, well, of course, AI, was
Yeah.
kind of starting. It was obviously not what it is today, but it was starting, to kind of start take over things like, the like graphic design. I mean, like you can go into Canva and create what you want, and it
Right.
doesn't take as long as it would have previously. And so people think, well, why would I, pay for someone to do it for me when I could spend, 20 minutes and create whatever it is I want to create? Which is fair, and, same with, like, the content, that was one of our biggest areas, and, I mean, that has really shrunk over the years, so I think it was just a combination of, like, the economy, the industry changing,
Right.
and also the technology, um, so, yeah, I think that was kind of the combination.
So you see that as, I mean, you're at your, early 2020s. You're at your peak. You're just happy. You're like, this is awesome. We're killing it. The world's falling apart, but we're doing good. We're fine. But that's a great feeling when you reach that, especially if you've been building it and you had the incubator, you went through that growth period, and you feel like you got this momentum. You've got it all figured out. Like you've landed, and then the world changes and something unpredictable. Even AI, we had no idea this was even going to be a thing.
Right.
Which is it's weird, it's interesting to me because I'm a web design development agency, so I see it from the coding side, but from the content and marketing side, kind of fascinating to me because you would think that, yes, now you can create all this stuff with AI, all the content, but people really I think it's gotten better over time, but especially in the beginning, you could tell what AI content was, like, it was pretty bad,
Right.
or there was some kind of footprint where you could tell it was AI or was whatever. But I suppose still a lot of agencies just started using it, and the clients probably didn't know any better.
Right.
'Cause
Exactly. Yeah.
like, as the people, like, actually doing it, we're always critiquing ourselves and, like, "That sucks." But the
Mhm.
clients are like, "No, this is what we it's still content." They don't know any
Right.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and some people just, they use the content on their website just to feed the search engines. And so, like,
Yeah.
they don't really care as much. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So we were at our heyday.
Yeah.
And we kind of got too comfortable, I think. I think that was kind of our first mistake. Because
And
my
we'll just
founder,
stop everybody here.
right,
Don't get comfortable because this
right.
is exactly the same experience I've had where you're like on top of the world. Everything's great, momentum, life is good. And then, yeah, um, you didn't, you were so into what you're doing right now. And you're like just taking care of the clients you have, taking care of the business you have. And yeah, then something happens. So what you were going
Yeah.
to tell us what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, well, and one of the, I guess one of the symptoms I would say of getting too comfortable was we kind of weren't really paying attention to what was coming. Like, we could see the signs. I
Uh-huh.
mean, when we started, like, I feel like the things that we started to do to mitigate it, we did started too late. For example, I was like, why are we I feel like we're losing so many clients, and with our model, like, it's really hard to know if you've lost a client because we don't really have contracts. It's kind of
Mm,
use us as much as you want, as little as you want. When you need us, we're here. If you don't, we leave you alone, kind of thing. And so, but I just kept noticing, like, clients who were using us consistently every month, now I haven't seen them in a little bit. And so
yeah.
I started reaching out to some of these clients and just to find out, like, is it something we did, like, because we'd like to improve, or is it something going on with you? And that's kind of where I got that information about, like, people were closing their agencies. They were you know going into different industries altogether. They were being acquired, things like that.
Wow.
Every once in a while they'd be like, oh yeah, well, we had a bad experience, and whatever, which
This
is
is an
fine.
important thing you did though too, is you didn't just sit there and like, oh, see everything evaporate. You actually took you actually went out there and had the conversations. And
Yes,
yeah.
exactly, because I wanted to know, eh, honestly, I really thought, like, it was us. Like, that's always my instinct, like,
Right.
did some
Right.
we're doing something wrong, I wanna know.
Yep.
And then that, like, even getting some feedback in that area, like, I was like, "Okay, well, I feel like because I stopped paying so close attention because I have someone else doing this stuff, like,
Mhm.
there's clearly a disconnect there." And then, the AI stuff, I'm like, well, yeah, maybe we should figure out how we can kind of adapt to that. And if there's any way that we can adjust what we're offering to, make it more enticing for people to use us, even if they are using AI, that sort of thing. But I just think it was a little too late. And, you know, also, the other thing is, up until that point, we had never done a single bit of marketing, not a bit. It was all referral,
Right.
1,000,000%. Like, we had HubSpot sending us clients constantly.
No
Uh,
kidding.
yeah, and Michael was in some different agency groups, and like there were always people asking like for help with different things, and he's like, "Oh yeah, check us out." And so like that started drying up,
That
and
too. Wow.
yes. And so I'm like, and so we got to a point where it was just like, I don't think that, like, I started paying attention, and I started
Mhm.
looking into things, and I was like, wait a minute, like, uh, we cannot sustain these two salaried positions now, like, with the way the trend. And so, we had to make a lot of hard decisions. And so, the one person, like, we were having conversations together about it, about like, what are we going to do? And we tried a couple different things, like, trying to like cut expenses. That's an easy thing to try to do, right? let's
Mhm.
let's see if we can cut enough expenses to kind of ride this out. And then I was like, well, that's not really doing it. And then of course Michael and I were like, okay, well, we'll stop paying ourselves for a little while until we get through this. And then, well, that's not really working. So then it was like, well, I think we gotta at least let one of these salary positions go. And one of them actually found another job so that we wouldn't have to do that because
Okay,
it was
that's good.
very hard. And so then I took back over the sales and client relationship, which I kind of wanted to do anyway because I don't know, like, I don't think she was doing a bad job. I think that I'm just too much of a control freak that I'm like, if I got that feedback even only from one client, I'd be like, "No, I need to do it myself now." Like,
Ah, right.
it's just the way
Right.
I am. Um, and
So
then
the sales and the what?
the client relationship,
Client relationships. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so she would just, like, check in with clients on a regular basis, just to make sure that they knew we were still here. Like,
Yeah.
we're easy to forget if you don't use us all the time,
That's
so
another great lesson. I'm gonna keep stopping with the lessons because if you're quiet for too long, even if they're finding other ways to get stuff done or whatever, it's important to check in and touch base once in a while and stay top of mind
a
for sure.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't want them to forget
Um
about you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then I got to a point where I was talking to Michael and I said, "Look," I said, "I think that we are at a point where we need to also let the operations person go." And I said, "So what that means is," because I was willing to take over the salesperson's duties,
Right.
but he did a lot of what this operations person
Ah,
did, with
right.
she did a lot of like so we have team members in a lot of different states, which requires a lot of paperwork and all kinds of craziness. And so it's just a time and mental suck. It's not hard, but that was what he did before she took it over. And I was like, "Do you want? Are you interested in taking back over some of this work and like trying to build this back up?" And he was like, "Not really." Which is
Mm,
fair. Like,
yeah.
his passion, like, he is in a different industry now and very, very happy. I think this was just, like, a side thing for him, and so I was like, "All right, well," he's like, "I'm just gonna quietly exit and, you know, we'll just go on and then you can take it over and see what you could do with it." So, that is
Wow.
what we did.
Wow.
And I kept the operations person on as long as I possibly could to help me get through the transition and to teach
Mhm.
me what she was doing. And then I, let her go. And I have been consolidating all of our team members because the other thing about the way our team is that so say we have a team of graphic designers, like we
Mhm.
have a manager of that team and then we have a couple different people under her depending on the capacity. And so because our capacity is always ebbing and flowing, we have some team members who were getting like 5 hours a month and some who were getting like 30 a month. And so I just kind of tried to consolidate all of the capacity into fewer team members, so it was less to manage and then
Right.
less states to have to manage. So, so that's kind of why we shrunk a lot
Yeah.
of the reason why we shrunk, so much, is because I really wanted it to be manageable for me, and now we are really good. It was rough for a good year, year and a half, but at this point, me and the team were really good. I mean, there's still some things we're trying to work through, but our revenues are going in the right direction, albeit slowly. And I'm looking into different marketing avenues and channels, because, like I said, that was not something we ever did before.
Right. Or you didn't need to for the longest time.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that's kind of new for me, and not a strength of mine.
Mhm.
So I'm just learning, at this point.
That's what we're always learning. That's the beautiful thing
Mhm.
about business. That's why I love business. Like, just when you think you got it all figured out, business is gonna be like, "Nope, you haven't
Yeah,
figured out this lesson yet, or this lesson, or this cascade of lessons."
exactly.
I know it was hard to live, but it's actually an amazing story when you, like, sit because it's gonna be something you're gonna be telling for years too, so this is good.
Yeah.
Our stories we can carry that with us and help others through telling them, which is why I love podcasting. Um, but I just like, I see myself, like, in a lot of that story, like, it's probably different scales, different, situations in general, but the arc of your story is something that I think there's a couple things that really stood out to me. Um, Number one is like when you start to see things changing, being proactive and trying to figure out what it is. I mean, that was obviously important. And then just trying to figure out, well, especially when revenues being affected, it's like, what's the first thing you're going to look at? And I think actually expenses is one of those first things. When things start to get a little rough around the cash flow or whatever, and that's exactly kind of what I did too. And I started looking at, especially in agencies, you start to collect tools and services.
Mhm.
It's like, do I really need that, or can I get downgrade? Let me talk. Let me even call up Adobe and be like, let's negotiate this price down, or figure out something. Just everything adds up. As when you're in my agency, it's like thousands of dollars a month just go in like expenses, just paying for tools and things we use. So that was the first, but then and then you just start with like the things that you don't need, and then you like start to like, do I have those conversations with you or your team? Like, do we need this? Are you using this? Is there
Mhm.
an alternative? And you go through that, but then it's the team members, and that's way harder than cutting a tool.
Oh, yeah.
And then, but like for me, I tried to hold on them for too long. Like
Yeah.
I don't like I'm trying to ride this out. We'll figure it out, and then you don't, and then you're in worse shape. But that whole process, through the people, through and then just looking at all the while you're assessing, it's like we're still not okay. We're still not okay. And that's hard, isn't it? It's
That's so hard.
like I gotta, yeah. Like, why aren't we righting the ship? But yeah, through all of that, um, and then the other thing that really stands out to me in your story is your role and how it might have to change. And it's funny because I have people on this podcast. I've had coaches over the years, or you listen to coaches online or Instagram, wherever. It's like, and it's the opposite. You should be finding people to do the work for you, take this off your plate and that. And sometimes though, the reality is businesses change,
Mhm.
industries change or whatever, or the environment. And sometimes it has to go in reverse. And it did that for me too. Like for a while, I wasn't doing any of the coding, any of the actual development work. I was more managing a team. I had project managers. I had, quality assurance people. I had all, projects coming in crazy. And, but then when I contracted, I had to change my role. Which, like you, like sales, client relationships, you enjoy that.
Mhm.
I don't know about the operations, but you
I do
enjoy that part.
yeah, I actually enjoy the operations as well.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. So, and I mean, and you have to, but that's a personal thing. You got to be okay with that. Like I was okay with that. I'm enjoying. I've been doing. I still have a team, but I'm doing more stuff. Especially, and with AI, it's basically like I have an AI team now too. But yeah, that's interesting. And sometimes you have to be able to survive. If you want your business to survive, you have to make those changes. And,
Yeah,
um,
for
so
sure.
but you have righted the ship. It sounds like you've at least stabilized, and that's my verbiage, right? I just need to first stabilize,
Yes. Yes.
and now you can breathe.
Mhm.
Take care of the people you have. You're focusing on, making sure you're really taking care of the clients you have. Still communicating, but now it sounds like you're like, okay, kind of like me, marketing.
Ugh,
We actually
no.
find new channels.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
so I actually have been working on, updating the service areas on our website so that they can be standalone landing pages so that we can start running ads.
Uh,
So I've decided I will utilize some people on my team to kind of help with different things. So, I've got the content team writing some case studies for the website. I've got, I'm going to have our paid media team start figuring out a strategy for some ads. I mean, I'm not going to throw a ton of money at it at this point, but
yeah.
because I don't have it, but I was like, what's the lowest amount that would make sense? Because I don't want
Yeah.
to, obviously I know with ads, like I know enough that if you put too little into it, you're not gonna get anything out of it. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, so they said, "Well, we need to make the website a little better first," and so that's what we're doing. And I started doing a weekly newsletter to clients, just to kinda stay top of mind. I did
Uh-huh.
fall off of that a little bit because I am just not a content person.
And that's a commitment too, especially weekly.
Really is, it really
Yeah.
is. So, like, I feel like I probably don't need to do it weekly, and I could probably bring in my content person to help me with that.
Mhm.
Because I mean, because I was relying on AI to help with ideas and things like that, but you know, I feel like it's probably better to go through a human who actually works in our on our team and knows
Yeah.
about what we do. Uh, yeah, so working on a couple different things to try to
That's again where you're trying different things. You got to just
yeah.
I'm gonna put a little bit of effort into that. We're gonna put a little bit of money into that and see. And you're waiting for something to be like to actually work, and then you double, triple down on that. That's
Right.
how
Yeah.
it'll probably work out. So what do you how is your, what you offer, like your services change? I mean, we talk about obviously
Right.
AI, it's part of the conversation, but are you doing some of the same things you used to do, or did that have to change too?
So we are doing a lot of the same things that we used to. We have combined content and SEO into one team.
Mm,
So they do all of that together. We no longer offer website development. Well, I shouldn't say that. We do like I have a contractor in case there's something a little too complex because we have like a technical support team who does a lot. But sometimes there are some things that are just beyond their technical expertise. So we will, farm that out to a contractor. Just so that it doesn't stop anybody. But I don't have a team of website developers to like create custom websites and things like that
you
at this
used to.
point.
You
We
used to have
did,
that?
yes,
Yeah.
and that to be honest, that's where a lot of our client complaints came from.
Mm,
It's a tough thing to provide, and it's tough for me to manage that because I don't know anything about it. And, I mean, website developers in general, in my experience, just have, the mentality of like, I just want to have my head down and code. And they're not really thinking about like, oh, I ran into this problem and I told them it was going to cost this much because it was going to take this much time. But now I ran into this problem and I'm just, you know, you spend hours and hours fixing the problem before you get back to actually doing what you're doing. And then now we're giving them a bill for so much more than we told them when all you had to do was stop, talk to them about it, and then go on. And
yeah,
so, yeah,
communication is important in that.
exactly. And I just found that developers aren't, that's not a strength of theirs. It's not good, better, and different. It's just not a strength of the people that we had. Our people were very good at what they did. So it just became too much for us to manage. So we
Yeah.
decided to just not offer that anymore. And
I
so
g
I,
and I get that. I mean, being in that
mhm,
business of doing that, but we
yeah,
specialize in that. And we do, it is really scope creep. Things can happen, and it takes a while for a client to even like we have retainers and stuff, and we're like, I have this one particular client we've had for 5 plus years, and large e-commerce store, and I remember this past year we were talking about just how long things take and things like that, and he like I understand things take way longer than I think they're going to take or whatever because there's so many they throw ideas out, but we figure out, oh, yeah, there's it's way more complicated than you're actually thinking about. There's all
oh,
these other
yeah,
things. It's a complicated thing, but, that's why, web developers aren't going away anytime soon either, though, because you can't just give that to an AI either.
right, yeah,
It's because that's just gonna create different kind of debt and
mm,
issues. But that's interesting, but it's good to specialize though too. Like, I don't like I par what you're doing is a good model, I think. Maybe it's the emerging better model today is that you kind of specialize in your thing, but then you partner or outsource
mhm.
the pieces that you don't need. And I mean, it sounds like that's pretty much what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's working out. I would say also over the years, the service areas that were like our biggest, highest demand have changed over the years too. Like I said, content used to be our hands down our biggest demand area. Now we hardly get any content,
Really? Wow.
requests. Yes. Well, I will say one client was one of the large, content requesters, and they actually were acquired, and so they
Mm,
using us. So that was one reason, but we had other clients that were using content that have definitely scaled back, and I do think that that is related to AI.
for
Um,
sure.
but our HubSpot area has like exploded really lately. That's really big. And also our paid media, like all the ads and things like that, like
Yeah.
that's a really big area too now where I mean,
Paid media.
mhm. Yeah, all the
So
Google
like
ads,
ads and
social
yeah.
media ads, yeah. Mhm.
Really?
Yes.
It's interesting. So this is okay. So I'm gonna just coming from my personal experience, maybe with clients that we've had for many years. So I see like from the web design development perspective, because I actually work with other marketing teams or a marketer or a CRO or whoever, and I'm usually translating what they need, or the owners. I'm translating what they need and what they're focused on. And there's one particular set of websites I've focused on for the last 6 years. And in the beginning, when we first started working with them, they were all in on SEO.
Mm,
Like I remember him getting on a call with the owner, and it was like, and it was the website was so important, still is, but from an SEO perspective, performance, and we're talking about speed, and we're talking about optimization, and we're talking about all the stuff to really feed the search engines, and that was just huge. And I think he would even tell me like 95% of their business is organic, and
mm,
they had a pretty large, $1 million plus business, right? So now over the years, though, that got quieter and quieter, and today it's all about ads. It's all about media. They have
mm.
a huge team just doing video and all the assets, and it's wild to watch. And like I said, I'm not even in I'm just translating, I'm just, taking care of their stuff.
Right.
But my roles changed too, right? Because of that, my integrations and API stuff and custom stuff, but it's just fascinating. And but it sounds like so like HubSpot's your big thing though. I remember like our first episode, I think we
Mhm.
talked a bit about HubSpot. So
Yeah.
that's still a big part of what you're doing too.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. It has really exploded. I don't know why, to be honest with you, but it just like people are just coming out of the woodwork. And I guess clients are referring other people to us. And sometimes if an agency client, for one reason or another, doesn't want to take on directly like an end client, they will refer them to us. And as long as they were referred by an agency and sometimes those end clients don't really understand how to work with an outsourced partner like us. And so it
Mm,
gets kind of hairy. But
yeah,
so we have had the opportunity to kind of serve end clients directly because of some of those referrals as well,
right.
mostly in the HubSpot area. So yeah, it's
And
been really
what
great.
do you do for people in HubSpot? Do you mean there's like HubSpot websites or something too, right? There's like you can
There
create like
are.
landing
Yes.
pages or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. So we typically don't do a lot of the development where when we had the development team we did, but
Right.
anything in any of the other hubs, like, our team can do. They can fully onboard clients into HubSpot. They can set up workflows and emails and lists and migrations from other tools. I mean, you name it, they can do it. They're really talented.
So really so I use HubSpot as basically I moved there a couple of years ago, my like CRM
Mhm.
side of my business. And and I and for years I actually used Mailchimp for like for email or newsletters or whatever. But I've had this thought in the recent year to like, I'm already using HubSpot. Maybe I should actually use that more for because the type of lists and type of things I'm doing, I think maybe HubSpot might be a good fit. So, but I'm sort of a newbie when it comes to HubSpot in terms of my own business and stuff. But what is it? What is HubSpot? What are businesses using HubSpot mostly for? Is it the list list building? Is it CRM? Is it managing their deals? That's a little
Yeah,
bit of what
it's
I do in
all
there.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even yeah, like setting up complex workflows of like, if this contact comes in, like assign it to this salesperson or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
nice.
yeah, some
All right.
clients have like complex, like we just did a migration for I actually don't know what industry the business is, but they had multiple salespeople in, multiple areas, and they were moving over from a different CRM that they used to use. And yeah, they had some complex things of like, if it's this type of client or they want this type of product, like it goes to this salesperson and, you know, all kinds of things. And, using the scheduling tool and the email system and just all of it.
And you can create like just you can create newsletters in there and
Yeah.
schedule them, or
Mhm.
is it like an auto? I don't even know if they call them autoresponders anymore. I mean, I'm ancient, but like the automatic emails, like if they or is it because there's two different things. There's like I think it was like Aweber Days,
Mhm.
maybe MailChimp too, or whatever. But there's like broadcasts and then there's like auto responders where they have
Yes.
you
Yeah.
create them ahead of time, like 25,
Yes.
30 email or whatever. And
Yes.
and that
Yeah, like a drip campaign kinda thing.
drip
Like,
campaign. Okay.
yes.
Yep.
So if someone signs up for, a promotion or whatever, some kind of like lead magnet is what I used to
Hmm.
call it.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, it delivers whatever that is, and then, it'll send another email a week later and then another email. Yeah, and those are already created. Yeah, HubSpot can do all of that.
Are still people are like your clients doing that type of thing, or they just have regular newsletters, or what is
Yeah,
your
but
what does
they do
most of
a
your
mix.
client use?
They do a mix.
Okay,
Yeah, for sure. Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like yeah. I mean, like I said, I use HubSpot in a basic way, but I just it's fascinating to know like again how things have changed over time, and it's
Yeah,
interesting to
I
me to
agree. Well,
this is a
HubSpot's
really
one
good
of those things that they have changed quite a lot. I feel like every couple weeks they're changing something, and I will be the first to admit that I don't know it,
yeah.
in its current form.
Yeah, I remember us establishing that our first
Yeah, I used to work in it myself,
yeah.
all the time, and of course now I've gotten out of doing the actual work.
Yep.
So, and we
No,
don't
it's
use HubSpot
it's good.
for our company, which is ironic, but, because that's what
No,
everybody
it's great.
we're a HubSpot partner, and we are not at all.
No,
Like, people come to us who already have HubSpot. We aren't
right.
in business of, getting people to get onto HubSpot.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's still a lot of that, like you said, you're getting stuff. Do you still get referrals from HubSpot or
We
from?
haven't in a little while, and, one of the people it's so funny, I just saw last week one of the people who used to be a really heavy referrer, he just left HubSpot.
Hmm,
Yeah,
bummer.
so, yeah, I was really sad to see that, but, I don't like, I tried to create relationships with the people who I forget what they called them, um, but they were essentially the people who helped them like onboard onto HubSpot, like when someone was a new HubSpot person,
Mhm.
and they would just help them with the different things that they had trouble with. And a lot of times
Yeah,
those, they would say, oh, well, if you don't have time to be setting all of this up or you need some extra help, like inbound back office can definitely help with that. So it was
yeah,
easy referral. But I'm just wondering if a lot of the people that I had relationships with are no longer at HubSpot or no longer have those jobs anymore.
could be.
Yeah.
This is the important thing. We actually just had a episode. Gary Gittleson a couple episodes ago, 281. I'm looking at it. I'm cheating. Um, as you were talking, I brought up. But we talked about that one's all about relationships,
Mhm.
and it's a great conversation, um, just about how the value of relationships, and not just having not just networking, but just having this like smaller handful of relationships that are, that you nurture over time.
Right.
And I think, like, when I'm hearing you, and somebody leaves, there's always things that are changing. Your business is changing, and but the relationships you create along the way, those are so important. And again, you can't get comfortable though, because you never know when somebody's going to leave, somebody's going to have, or a referral route dries up. That happens. And so that's something I think that's important too. And it sounds like, relationships are probably a very important part of your business.
Yes, and, honestly, like, I tried that was actually one of the things that I tried, last year. I joined a couple of networking groups to try to build some
Mhm.
relationships. I didn't get a ton out of it, mostly because, it was there was a it was a lot of people who, like, wanted to connect, but it felt like they weren't as interested in creating, like, a long-term relationship. It was just like, "Oh, you don't have anybody to refer to me right now, so, okay, well, when you do, let me know," kind of thing, and so I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know this is really gonna be worth my time at this point," so I don't know. I'm
I can
still
once again say I can relate. I
right,
can relate
yes,
to
so
that.
I'm still looking for that, unicorn of a group.
Yeah, and you can invest a lot of time into groups like that, and then if you just all you have to do is stop in that group. I've been in groups for longer periods of time, and nobody from that group ever talks to you again.
Right, exactly. Yep,
Like,
that's exactly
if it was if
me.
it right, exactly right. I
Yes,
mean, that's a telltale sign. It's like, if you built the relationship, it should survive the group.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. Yeah. So
I feel like I realized, I looked at the clock. I'm like, man, we could talk for another couple hours if I just keep going. Well, I'm sure you'll be back again someday. But so it sounds like, though, the business, kind of land here, your business is doing good. You've learned a lot of lessons. You've had
mhm.
a little bit of a hard road the last few years. Lots changed, but things are going well. And what's next for you?
I'm learning how to be content with, like, where we are if we never
Mhm.
grow any, bigger than what we
Mm,
are, and I am just trying to learn, I guess, the marketing side as much as I really don't care for it as much.
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's kinda necessary, and also, like, I feel like I have this, responsibility to my team members, is a
Yep.
lot of them are my original people, and for a lot of them, this is, like, one of their main sources of income. I work with a lot of, stay-at-home parents, things like that, and so this is, like, their source of income for their family, and I just feel like I at least need to keep it where we are or grow it a little bit, but I definitely am not going to grow it as big as it was. And I mean, I'm also still trying to, like, forgive myself for, like, not paying attention and not
Mm,
seeing things and not
man,
reacting to things as early as I should have. Like, I'm still working on the mental side of it. But yeah, I mean,
I
that's
get it.
really all
Yeah.
I'm doing at this point.
Yeah. And yeah, 'cause it's easy to blame yourself and look back and wish I
Mhm.
would've, and yeah, it's easy to get
Yes.
kind of spiral around that. But
Yes.
I think, I always think what you were saying, like, just being happy, like being content where we are right now.
Mhm.
That's a lesson I've had too. But then I hear the coaches out there I've talked to, like, yeah, but, you know,
I
growth,
know.
growth, growth. You
Yes.
should have big goals. You
If
should,
you're not growing, you're dying, right? Like, that's what I've heard,
right.
and I'm like, I don't know that that's true." Like, I
Well,
think
I think
everybody on my team is pretty happy at this point, like
you have to, right. And being stable is, there's a lot to say about that too. But like, I had, for, I grew quite a bit the first 5 years of my agency. It was like every year I'm like similar experience, like we got to figure it out. Um, but after I went through what I went through, and I kind of set, like, I came to the same conclusion because I had this big monetary goal, this is where we're headed. And we were going in that direction. And then things happen. And then I'm like, and I figured out though how to be okay with where we are. That doesn't mean I'm not going to grow, but to be like, and look at it too from this perspective is 5 years ago, you would love to be where you are right now.
Right.
Or maybe 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're actually
right.
in a good
5 years
place.
ago, I was actually doing a lot better.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay. But yeah, you have to go a little bit past the real successful years. But yeah, so it's all perspective. Anyway, so if somebody wants to learn more about what you're doing, if they want to reach out to you, do you hang out on the World Wide Web? I think you do, probably.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So I used to be super heavy on LinkedIn. I have taken a little hiatus.
Oh,
Also working my way back in there. I probably screwed up all that new algorithm there, and I'm probably like, no one will ever see my post again. But yeah, inboundbackoffice.com is our website. So that's where you can learn about us. Amy at inboundbackoffice.com is my email address. Other than that, honestly, LinkedIn was the only place that I hang out really
we
a
got to
lot.
get you hanging out somewhere because
I know.
people want to, especially if you're going to be on podcasts, people want to like,
Well, this is
follow you, follow
honestly
what you're
my
doing.
first podcast in quite a while. So maybe this is the
Awesome.
big break I needed and mentally to like be like, all right, let's do this.
We'll get you back there. You
Yeah.
start posting content. I'll find it and
All right.
I'll like your stuff.
Sounds like a deal.
All right. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Until next time, take care. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And UnifiedLabs.ai is where we explore smart, practical ways to integrate AI directly into your website and e-commerce flows. From intelligent chatbots to marketing automation to back-end reporting, all with a strong focus on user experience and making your systems work smarter. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with someone who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building smarter, bolder, and with purpose.